Hi guys, this is a place called Kelly Creek Canyon, and it's a real significant piece of our history. And this area down in here, if you can see it here, off of this cliff edge right here, down in this area, there's a creek over in those trees right there. I can kind of hear it, but I can't see it very well. But this little clearing right down here is the site of the very last Indian massacre in the state of Nevada. And there was a Native American named Mike Shoshone Daggett, and they called him Shoshone Mike because he was from the Shoshone tribe. He lived on a reservation near Fort Hall, Idaho, where in 1890 he lost his land to settlers. He was enraged, of course, and he took his family into Nevada and began living a nomadic life. They constantly moved and took some work where they could and mostly lived off the land. And the ranchers in northern Elko County remembered that Shoshone Mike and his sons were actually good workers, and they hired him to work in the hayfields. The group kind of stayed to themselves. There was about 10 of them in the group, and they interacted very little with either Native Americans or the white man. In 1911, there was a hard winter, and Shoshone Mike and his family decided to wait out the winter in High Rock Canyon in northern Washoe County, Nevada. And that's probably about 200 miles or so, maybe 300 from here. And with him was his wife, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and other Shoshone tribe members. And there's about 10 of them. They became hungry and desperate for food, so they killed some cattle and hung part of the meat in the trees to freeze. And I'll tell you, it was cold. It gets really cold up here in the high desert, especially up in the mountains in the winter, and we do get snow. So I'm just showing you some of the area here while I tell my little story. So they killed 2 cattle and hung part of the meat in the trees to freeze, like I said. And 2 sheep herders came into the canyon where they were staying, not knowing they were even there. And Shoshone Mike thought that they were after them to punish them for killing the cattle. So Shoshone Mike's 2 sons went out and killed the 2 sheep men, thinking that they were coming after them. So knowing that they were probably in a whole lot of trouble, this little band of Indians started a trek about 300 miles from here on foot with children, and they went on the run. And they ended up down here in the middle of the desert in this little tiny campsite right down in here. And they pitched their tents, and a posse had been formed to chase them, and bring them to justice. And they knew that they were catching up to them, so they camped here, and they started their chants and their singing because they knew that they were about to die. So the posse did catch up to them, and from up here on this cliff where I'm standing, the state troopers, sheriff, and the posse fired down into this clearing and killed all of them, ambushed them basically, and it was a massacre. All but, I think there was a woman and 3 children that survived. And all the rest of them, all the warriors were killed. And they, instead of burying them respectfully or having their tribe members come after them to give them a proper burial, they dynamited a hole and just threw all their bodies in this mass grave and covered them up. So out here somewhere, and no one's really sure of the gravesite at this point because it was so long ago, but somewhere down here along this creek bed is a mass grave with Shoshone Mike and several of his warrior tribe members and his 2 sons are all buried together here. There's no markers, there's nothing to indicate where they are. Of course, back then, you know, Indians were not in high regard. So there are no markers showing their grave, which I think is a terrible, terrible thing. It's so sad. And, you know, they were just trying to survive for the winter. And I'm sure if he could have found the rancher, he might have given him something in exchange or paid him. I don't know. But I think it was really cowardly the way that they caught up to them. Some of the women tried to fight back, and they shot bows and arrows at the posse and threw spears at them. And I think one of the posse members did get killed. But this is where it happened, in this little creek bed down here. And we were out here riding, so I thought I would just stop and give you a little history of it and show you that. And this place makes me very sad because of what happened. So anyway, and then this is some of the country up here. There's my daughter and my grandson and our quad that we came down on. There's a lot of hunters out here because it's bird season. So anyway, I think this little pass right up here is so pretty. Go right up through there. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting little story. Thought I'd pass it on to you. And I think that's about all for our trip today. My phone is dying, so I'm not going to be able to record much more. So we're going to hop on the quad and keep going. And if my phone dies, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And hope you have a great day, great evening, great morning, wherever you are. And like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.